You can diagnose a problem in an engine just by the subtle change in its hum. You can look at a schematic and see not just lines, but a living system of cause and effect. You can hold a broken thing in your hands and feel its potential to be whole again. So why does a simple conversation, a casual get-together, often feel more complex and draining than a complete engine rebuild? Why can you spend 12 hours straight in the garage feeling energized, but 30 minutes of small talk leaves you feeling utterly depleted? You've probably told yourself it's just who you are, that you're just not a people person. But what if I told you that this feeling isn't a personality flaw? What if it's a direct, logical consequence of the very mind that makes you so good at fixing things? There is a deep psychological reason for this disconnect. It's a pattern of wiring, a specific way of processing the world that prioritizes logic, order, and tangible results. And once you understand it, everything about your social exhaustion starts to make perfect, logical sense. You're not broken for feeling this way. In fact, your mind is simply operating exactly as it was designed. Today, we are opening up the schematic of the fixer's mind, and we're going to trace every circuit to understand why you feel the way you do. We all know him, or maybe we are him. He's the man who fixes everything. He's the one you call when the dishwasher is making a weird noise, when the car won't start, or when the Wi-Fi mysteriously dies. He thrives on concrete problems that have concrete solutions. Picture this. You're at a family gathering or a neighborhood barbecue. The air is filled with overlapping conversations, emotional currents, and social static. You do your duty, you make the small talk, you smile and nod. But after an hour or two, you feel a magnetic pull towards the garage, the basement, or any quiet corner where something might be even slightly broken. This video is for that man. We're going to go deeper than just saying you're an introvert. We're going to explore the foundational questions about your very nature. Were you born with this mindset, or were you made this way by your experiences? And more importantly, we're going to talk about the hidden cost of being the one who holds everything together. Because there is a price for being this competent. By the end of this video, you won't just feel understood, you'll have a new framework for understanding yourself. To understand the fixer, we first have to understand his preferred environment, the world of things. A machine, a system, a piece of code operates on unwavering principles. There is always a cause for every effect. If a car doesn't start, it's not because it's having a bad day or feels misunderstood. There's a logical reason, a faulty spark plug, a dead battery, a broken connection. This world is fair, it's predictable, and it rewards patience and methodical thinking. You can trace the problem, isolate the variable, apply the solution, and witness a tangible, satisfying result. The engine roars back to life. The machine hums perfectly. The data flows without error. This is the domain of control and competence. Now, contrast this with the world of people. The world of people is governed by emotions, hidden motives, unspoken histories, and irrational biases. There is rarely a single clear cause for any effect. Think of a mechanic listening to an engine. He hears a faint ticking, and his mind instantly starts building a diagnostic tree of possibilities. Now, put that same mechanic at a dinner party listening to a friend complain vaguely about their job. There's no clear problem statement, the variables are infinite, and the person often isn't even looking for a solution. To the fixer's mind, this is like trying to repair an engine that's actively fighting the repair. It's an inefficient, frustrating, and often futile expenditure of mental energy. This is why the retreat to the garage isn't an act of social avoidance. It's an act of returning to a place where the rules make sense. It's about seeking sanity in a world of predictable logic. This is a critical point that many people miss. For a fixer, solitude isn't loneliness, it's just getting back to your real workspace. It's the clean, quiet environment required for the intense focus that your brand of magic requires. It's where you can actually get things done and restore a small piece of order to the universe. That satisfaction, that feeling of a job well done, is a powerful and restorative force. It's a stark contrast to the ambiguous and often draining world of social maintenance. The preference isn't antisocial, it's pro-logic. So we've established that the world of machines is a sanctuary of logic. Now let's flip the coin and look at exactly why the world of people can be so uniquely exhausting. For a mind wired to diagnose and solve, a typical social conversation is a high-effort, low-reward activity. Your brain is a problem-solving engine, and when it's presented with a problem, it automatically tries to engage. When a friend vents about their boss, your mind doesn't just hear the complaint, it starts trying to debug the situation. It's analyzing variables, proposing solutions, and identifying logical fallacies in their narrative. You might suggest, why don't you just talk to HR? Or, have you tried documenting these incidents? You are offering what you value most, a clear, logical path to a solution. But psychological research suggests that most of the time, people who are venting aren't looking for a fix. They are looking for validation, for empathy, for someone to simply co-sign their emotional state. To a fixer's mind, this is deeply inefficient. It's like describing a flat tire in detail for 20 minutes without any intention of getting out the jack. This mismatch between your instinct to solve and their need to vent creates immense internal friction. You are running a high-performance diagnostic program on a system that doesn't want to be diagnosed. It's a massive drain on your cognitive and emotional resources. And this leads to the most profound source of frustration for this archetype. It's watching the same person complain about the same problem week after week, month after month, having rejected every logical solution offered. To you, it feels like they are actively choosing to remain in a state of disrepair. The ultimate frustration for a fixer is watching people choose to remain broken. You see the simple fix, the clear path forward, and their refusal to take it feels like a personal rejection of logic itself. This is not arrogance on your part. It is the deep, instinctual pain of a craftsman watching someone deliberately misuse a fine tool. After enough of these encounters, the logical conclusion is to conserve your energy. You learn that your diagnostic tools are simply not compatible with most human emotional systems. So you retreat, not out of malice, but out of a profound sense of futility and a need to protect your own sanity. And if you're nodding along right now, feeling that frustration in your bones, then you're ready for the next question. It's the one that takes us from the what to the why. But where does this come from? Let's be honest for a moment and ask the real question. Is your ability to fix everything a superpower, or is it a scar? This is the trait versus trauma debate at the heart of the fixer archetype. On one hand, there's a strong argument for trait. Some people are simply born with a greater aptitude for systematic thinking. Their brains are naturally more interested in understanding and constructing systems, whether mechanical, electrical, or digital. This is often linked to introversion, as the deep focus required to master these systems is best achieved in quiet solitude. In this view, being a fixer is simply the natural expression of an innate cognitive style. Your love for the garage is no different than an artist's love for the studio. It's simply your ideal creative environment. But there's another side to this story, and for many, it cuts much deeper. This is the argument for trauma, or more gently, for forced self-reliance. Consider a child who learns early on that the world is not a reliable place. Maybe emotional support was absent, or maybe asking for help was met with impatience or even punishment. This child learns a powerful lesson. No one is coming to save you. If your bike breaks, you don't cry and wait for an adult. You get out the tools and figure it out yourself. And when you succeed, you don't just get a working bike. You get a hit of pride, a sense of control, and a reinforcement of the idea that you are the only one you can truly count on. The physical world becomes a safe haven because, unlike people, it doesn't disappoint you. Mastering it becomes a survival strategy. So is it a superpower or a scar? The truth for most fixers is that it's both. It's often an innate predisposition, a natural talent for logic that was then amplified and forged in the fires of life experience. The scar, the early need for self-reliance, is what honed the superpower to a razor's edge. Understanding this duality is the key to understanding the full picture of who you are. If this deep dive into your own wiring is resonating with you, it means you're part of a community of thinkers and builders. We explore these ideas every week, so if you appreciate this kind of analysis, consider subscribing to join the conversation. Now, this competence, whether born or made, comes with an undeniable sense of pride. There is a quiet satisfaction in being the one who can hold it all together when things fall apart. You are valued. You are needed. You are seen as reliable. But this pride comes with a heavy, often invisible burden. Because people quickly learn that you are good at fixing things. And the hard truth is this. The reward for being good at fixing things is that you are handed all the broken things. Your phone rings, and you know it's not just to chat, it's because a computer is frozen or a shelf needs hanging. You become, in effect, a human Dropbox for other people's problems. They drop off their issues, their chaos, and their broken items, often with little regard for your own time or energy. The appreciation, if it comes at all, is often fleeting. They don't see the hours of focus, the years of accumulated knowledge, or the mental energy you expend. They just see the magical result, and they come to expect it. Over time, this can lead to a quiet, simmering resentment. But this isn't even the heaviest part of the burden. This leads us to the question that many fixers are terrified to even ask themselves. What happens when the man who fixes everything is the one that's broken? Who do you turn to when you can't fix yourself? When the problem isn't a faulty circuit, but burnout, or grief, or a deep sense of purposelessness. These are problems that a wrench can't touch and a multimeter can't measure. The very identity of being the competent one, the self-reliant rock, can make it incredibly difficult to admit vulnerability or ask for help. Asking for help can feel like a fundamental failure of your primary directive. So the fixer often suffers in silence, trying to apply his logical toolkit to the irrational chaos of his own inner world and finding it utterly ineffective. This is the ultimate paradox of the fixer's life, a master of external systems who feels like a novice in his own interior? That's a heavy question. And while we can't solve it in one video, we can start building the defenses to prevent it from happening. And that starts with boundaries. Enough theory, let's talk tools. The key is to protect your workspace, both physical and mental. I want to give you a simple framework called the triage method for any incoming problem that isn't yours. When someone brings you a problem, mentally run it through these 3 questions. Is this actually mine to fix? Is this a true emergency that requires my unique skills, or is this a problem of convenience for someone else? Can this problem even be fixed by me? If it's a messy relationship issue or a career complaint, the answer is probably no. Recognize when a problem is outside your jurisdiction. And third, the most important question, do I have the energy and desire to fix this right now? Your energy is a finite resource, not a public utility. Now, here are some actionable scripts to enforce these boundaries. That sounds really tough. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. This shows you're listening, but doesn't obligate you to act. To offer logic without taking over, you can say, that sounds like a complex problem. Have you considered looking up X or talking to Y? This points them toward a solution without making it your project. I'd love to help, but I need to conserve my energy for my own projects right now. Using these tools isn't selfish. It's essential maintenance for your own system. We've journeyed deep into the mind of the fixer today. We went from a simple preference for solitude to understanding its roots in logic, focus, and sometimes in the scars of self-reliance. We've seen how the very mental tools that make you a brilliant problem solver can make the social world feel like an unsolvable puzzle. We talked about the burden of competence and the silent weight carried by the one everyone relies on. So let's go back to that opening question. Why does a simple conversation leave you feeling so drained? So yes, that simple conversation is draining because your mind is a high-performance engine built for logic, not a catch-all for chaos. It's draining because you are trying to find order where there is none and solve problems that aren't asking for a solution. The key takeaway from all of this is not that you need to change. It's that you need to understand your own operating system and honor its requirements. Your introversion isn't a bug, it's a feature of your high-performance mind. It is the silent, focused world you require to perform your magic. Your challenge isn't to change who you are. It's to build a life and set boundaries that honor your design. Own your nature, protect your energy, and keep making the world a more orderly, functional place, one fix at a time. Now, for the other fixers watching, I have a question for you. What was the moment you first realized you couldn't rely on anyone else and had to figure it out yourself? Share your story in the comments below. Reading them helps us all realize we're not alone in this. If this video resonated with you and you want more deep dives into the male psyche, make sure to subscribe and join our community.